Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And I mentioned a few episodes ago that I've really been into astral projection stories. It's been like my go-to lately when I'm looking for a story. And there's just something so eerie, so spooky about stories of astral travel. Where exactly are we going when we enter the astral plane? Is it all in our heads, or are these out-of-body experiences truly happening? And what about those entities we see creeping towards our lifeless bodies in the darkest part of the night? Are they really a threat? Are they really looking for a vessel of their own? This is what I wanted to discuss today. So I've brought about 6 stories, I think, 5 or 6 stories from our listeners who have found themselves astral projecting in their sleep. And that's what we'll be talking about today.
Did not know it was going to go in a dark, spooky direction. I thought you were about to say, I floated and I got to fly over town and everything was beautiful. Oh.
Do you know me?
Yes, and that's why I assumed we were going to do like mystical and wow.
No, that's more you. I'm more like, and then the demon attacked.
What? No, that is what I'm usually suggesting. And you're like, it was the Fae.
Okay.
I think your little trip to Boston is turning you optimistic. And
roll the tapes. This is not true.
I don't know. But I'm excited because I didn't know that it was going to be like this.
Yes. So we did sleep paralysis on Monday, and I figured we'd do another sleep thing for our listener stories.
I love a theme.
We'll stay in the night. Our tea today, though, is the tea peat. It's a Sakurambo, just black tea. I don't remember what it is.
It is cherry.
Oh, cherry tea. Yeah.
Yep. It smells really good. I don't remember trying this, but I know that we did because the bag was open in my pantry.
We did. We definitely did.
All right. You ready, Petey?
He's ready.
That was cute. I hope y'all are watching. Let's go. That's some sweet tea on accident.
Natalie sugared my cup, and then she made a cup of tea and then dumped it between our cups and was like, got to mine, and there was like this much tea at the bottom. She said, oh, and then had to scoop some tea out of her cup into my cup. And so mine was like sugar candy.
Yeah. I put the sugar in the mugs without realizing that I was only making, because it's late right now, and I didn't want to make 2 full cups of tea. So we're splitting the one bag. I brewed it in another cup. I didn't think about the amount of tea that was going to go in each cup. I just put like our normal, sugar for a full thing.
Yeah.
It's good though.
I mean, sure. It was a little too sweet. It kind of like,
I like it.
Shocked my system.
I haven't had my sweet treat after dinner yet, so.
This is your sweet treat.
I'm into it.
All right. Our first story today is unsigned, so anonymous.
Starting strong.
Hi guys, I absolutely love your podcast, and I've sent through a story already, but I am currently watching your astral projection episode and thought I would share my journey with it. So a little backstory, when I was 9 years old, I started to have pain in my leg, and slowly over time it spread to most of my body, and by the time I was 15, my organs started to fail, and every doctor we saw couldn't work out what was causing all of my symptoms. So out of desperation, my mom found a Chinese medicine man who, when she spoke to him, seemed happy to see if any alternative medicine he practiced could give me some relief, as we were both desperate, and we had tried weirder things than traditional Chinese practices in medicine. When we arrived, his house and garden looked exactly how you would think it looked. He had a massive ornate pond full of fish. Usually these types of ponds would have koi fish, but in Australia, they are banned. And bonsai trees all the way from small 30-centimeter tall up to full-grown citrus trees. I could have spent hours in that garden. After some time talking to him, I cannot for the life of me remember his name, he looked to my mom and told her it was time to leave. We were going to start the treatment now, and it can only be us, but to stay close as she may need to tether me. My mom and I shared a look that said, yep, this is really where we have ended up. But hey, it can't be worse than the person who said that stopping my heart was the cure. Yes, that was a doctor who said that, and no, there was no follow-up of, and then restart it. His entire idea was to just kill me, but that's a whole different story. He laid me down, surrounded by candles and crystals. I'm so sorry. First of all, let me just say, I'm so sorry that you went through that. The medical system all over the world can be rough.
Yeah.
Just
oh my gosh.
Working through, especially with an illness that, like, you're having issues figuring out the cause.
That's always the worst.
Yeah.
So scary. Uncertain.
So he laid me down, surrounded by candles and crystals, a protection circle, he had said, and started to say a chant in another language. And then he himself stepped into the circle and sat by my head and explained what was going to happen. He told me that I was missing a part of my soul, and the longer I was without it, the worse my health would become. And if I never reunited with that part of myself, I would eventually die, but I would die incomplete and not be able to move on. So I was to search for that missing piece. And it may present as anything, but as soon as I saw it, I would know what it was. But I would encounter things that wanted to harm me or take possession of my body whilst I had left it unoccupied. And some things would seem friendly, but their aim was to get me lost in the veil forever. So I had to choose a guide, something that I would only see if I was in danger. And I would have to hide or get back to my body as soon as I could, as soon as I saw it. I chose a fox. The first session with him, I didn't get far. I managed to float just above my body before falling back into myself and realizing an hour had passed. Time moved so differently there. I worked with him for months, spending 2 times a week searching for my missing self, and along the way I only really saw the fox once, but was able to get back to my body before I even knew what the danger was. The day that I found it was different. I had been searching the spaces that I had the most memories in, made me feel as if I was drawing closer to what I was searching for. And on this day, I had remembered a park my nan used to take me to, and I had decided to visit there. And just as I arrived, I saw it. And I don't know how to describe what I saw, but it was in the shape of a bear, and it was a small wooden carving, and as soon as I picked it up, I could feel the vibrations through my whole body. I knew this is what I was searching for. I stashed it in my pocket and turned around to head back to my body when I saw the fox. But unlike the first time I saw it had been sitting in the corner of the room I was in, licking its front paws as if not in any hurry. This time it was running towards me. I started to get a sinking feeling in my stomach and started thinking of my home, the protection circle, and my body. I started to focus on the chanting I could hear in the back of my mind, trying to bring me back, but all I could see was the fox running to me, and just black eating up the sky behind him. He was getting so close to me, and I didn't know what to do. I just kept focusing on my body, the protection circle, and the chanting. And just as the fox reached my feet and the blackness was just about to eat up everything I saw, I closed my eyes as tight as I could, and I fell. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my body, back in the protection circle, and the medicine man was throwing some type of ash over me and still chanting, but a new chant. When he finished, he asked me, did I still have it? And that's when I reached into my pocket and felt the bear carving. It had come with me. It is kind of strange because ever since finding the bear carving, I felt in a way whole. And although I am still sick, only a few years later, I was finally diagnosed. And whilst there is no cure, I at least have an answer. And I've never been as sick as I was before seeing the medicine man. I don't know if this was all a hoax and he planted the thoughts in my head and then planted the bear carving in my pocket, or if it all truly happened. But I have never tried to astral project again. I don't want to ever see that blackness again. If it felt so menacing, and I will be turning 30 this year, I still take my bear carving to every home I've lived in. I just feel better with him around. Feel free to share, and I'll attach a photo of my little bear friend. And let me know if you want to hear any other stories. I have a few scary ones.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad we get to see the bear. Okay, I have several thoughts. Them saying that I don't know if it's a hoax, blah 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 blah, and like maybe the man planted it on this person.
The idea and the carving, yeah.
But how can someone make you see something in your thing? I get, like, do people actually hypnotize people and make them hallucinate and see things?
Depends on what you believe. But
Do you think it's possible?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible to guide you in a way. And I mean, they've been doing these so often that maybe they just like let their body relax and their brain went into a state of waves that was just, I mean, maybe almost like hypnosis or at least just like a guided meditation and subconscious or like, what's the word? Subliminal messaging.
Yeah,
maybe even.
Baskin Robbins ice cream cake.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I have a thought though. Even if you got duped or whatever and it was all just, he just planted that on you and all of that wasn't real, it still made you feel better.
It still helped.
So regardless,
he did what you asked him to.
It worked, right?
I agree.
I mean, because the power of the mind,
like placebo effect is totally
your
real.
mind is so powerful that, I mean, Yeah, it worked. Ultimately, regardless of if it was real or if he, planted it on you and just knew how to trick your mind. Kind of cool. Either way.
Either way, yes. But I like to believe that there was something spiritual
Me
going
too.
on.
Me
Here's the
too.
bear.
I would. Oh, well, that's just cute.
It's adorable. I would
That's
take
not
it
what I
with
was
me everywhere
expecting. I was
too.
expecting more of like a. Oh, and I'll put it up on the screen for those of you that are watching. I was expecting more of like a. I don't know, something creepier looking, but that looks so sweet.
Yeah, it's just like this little
They're
block.
not creepy, but I was expecting more realistic bear.
Yeah, just like etched into. It's like a cube, but
Yeah.
just etched in to make it shaped and painted to make it shaped like a bear.
Very cute, and I would bring that everywhere with me as well.
Very interesting encounter and whole scenario. I'm so sorry that you're still dealing with this
Yeah.
lifelong illness and that there is no cure, but I hope that you continue to find healing in whatever way that looks like for you.
Yeah, everybody send out your good ghosty vibes.
Your
feel like we're
prayers and positive
very-
lights.
At risk of sounding too woo-woo, I feel like we're a very powerful group.
Just
all of us.
positive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think positivity and light are powerful.
Yeah, I think so too.
But moving on to our next story, this one's from Max. Hi again, Ghosties. My name is Max. I've been a listener for probably about 6 months now, and I love how many broad topics y'all have covered so far. I just finished watching your astral projection pod from a couple of weeks ago on YouTube, and I thought why not share a few of my own experiences. So, for some background, I have always been a dreamer, lucid and non-lucid. My first lucid dream I can recall was when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I was blowing bubbles in my dream and started floating with the bubbles. Throughout my childhood, I continued to lucid dream more progressively as I started to have more and more family and bullying issues growing up. By the time I got to middle school, I would have around 1 to 3 lucid dreams a night. I also grew up in a Christian household, though I don't consider myself a Christian anymore. That being said, I've always believed, and still do, in some sort of afterlife and the idea of having a soul. Back in middle school, I was opened up to vast new perspectives of religion, spirituality, and intersectionality of the spiritual with the intellectual world. I was 14 years old when I first heard of astral projection from some friends that found out through the internet. At first, I was apprehensive of how real it was or trying it out, but eventually I folded and tried astral projecting with some of my friends at the time. The first couple times of meditation I did with 2 of my friends at one of their houses. Nothing really happened for me. I knew what was supposed to happen, but I would either just take a normal nap or start daydreaming of whichever crush I had at the time. My ADHD brain was not the best at focusing, lol. But then one night, while trying to cram all my missing homework assignments the night before a math chapter test, I started to doze off at my desk in my room. All of a sudden, I was hyper aware of my body, to the point I could feel my glasses sitting on my face slowly sliding down my nose as my head started to roll forward in my sleep. I also remember seeing the back of my head, as if I was in spectator mode and was glued to the ceiling where my overhead light hung. Confused, I tried looking around my room. I could see the pile of clean laundry on my book nook chair that still needed to be folded, my warm shelf lights glowing in their places, and my dog curled up in his bed next to where my body slumped drowsily at my desk. It was so strange, but so intriguing. I tried looking up and ended up looking into the attic. This was quite the experience because my house had an unfinished attic, so my perspective was of dull pink insulation foam, floating dust particles, and darkness that was only cut by a dim light shining from the few vents connected to the outside. I had never seen the inside of my attic before. I just knew that I couldn't go up there because it wasn't made for people to go into. The darkness of the attic scared me a little, so I looked back down into my room. I was startled by my dog, who was no longer in bed, but rather standing right beneath my perspective from the ceiling, staring up at me as if he knew I was there. He started to bark his indoor bark that was more like a husky's type of whine. I heard it clearly, and this is what pulled me back into my body. I woke up at my desk to my dog still standing in the exact same spot, kind of yammering quieter now at where my conscious had just been. Now, I startled him when I turned around to pet him on the back. He jumped a little, seemingly confused at how I went from one place to another in an instant. But when he realized it was me, he calmed down and let me pet him like usual. I still don't know how he knew where I was or what I was doing, but that experience was absolutely wild to me, especially for a first astral projection. This experience was my catalyst into a deeper dive of astral projection. I have more stories, though I will not be sharing here as this email is already really long. April Fools. Well, yes, this email is already pretty long. I still want to share a few of my most memorable astral projections, as I know y'all appreciate when people include all of their stories in one email. So
We
back to
do.
it.
We
This
do
was
indeed.
sent on April 1st too. So
Oh, cute. Okay, I love it. I was going to say we're reading this now in August, but yes, April Fool's.
April of 2025.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
but it cracked me up. They were like, and I'll end it here. It's like, no.
That's really cute.
After my first astral projection, I did a lot of research on the topic, which I ended up thinking I was able to astral project the first time on accident because my anxiety didn't actually allow my soul or consciousness to fall asleep, even though my body did since I wasn't finished with my homework. The next time I astral projected, I did so on purpose. It was a few months later, on a weekend that I had nothing to do. COVID hit at this point and school slowed down. I decided to take a midday nap, which was really a meditation. I relaxed with breathing exercises in one of the sound bowl spiritual cleansing videos I found on YouTube. I also tensed up each part of my body and then relaxed it so I could stay aware while lying on the floor of my room. Felt more freeing than lying in my bed then. Slowly, I started to see different shades of colors as my conscious lifted out of my body, like when you close your eyes and face the sun and move your eyes around under your eyelids in the summertime. Then I became aware of my room. I got up and started walking around, inspecting everything inside. Background, I don't have the best memory and I misplace things often, so a lot of things in my room are in random spots. Even still, I was able to fully examine my room and everything around in it. I wandered my own room for about what felt like 5 minutes. Then I decided to wake myself up to just see if I could before exploring further. I was successfully able to wake myself up. Excitedly, I looked around my room to see if everything I saw was actually in that place, which it was. I felt incredible. Until I looked at my clock. I woke up from my midday nap that felt only 5 minutes long at 6 p.m. in the evening. Befuddled, I decided that maybe I wouldn't go further with astral projection for a while, even though I was still very intrigued. The next astral projection, and all to come after except recent attempts, was by accident. It happened literally later that very same night of my midday nap. I ended up going to sleep really late that evening, like 3 a.m. late, due to missing half my day. I remember falling asleep with my TV on playing Naruto and my mind just drifting away. This night was the first night that in my lucid dream I couldn't control anything. The place I was in was a mall, but it looked nothing like any of my local malls or anything I'd ever seen on TV. It was huge, 3 stories tall, connected to a movie theater, Dave & Buster's type of arcade, and an apartment complex. I was with a group of kids my age that seemed to be on an end of school year field trip to the arcade.
Is this like Mall World?
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Because Mall World's connected to an apartment complex, or so some people
Uh-huh.
say, with a movie theater
Yeah.
inside. Some say arcades and
Weird.
gaming areas. Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting.
And I've always thought, or when we did our episode on Mall World and subliminal
That was a
spaces,
long
that
time
like
ago.
astral plane, there's something to do with the astral plane there.
Yeah.
But I digress. The entrance was near the movie theater, which looked closed. I lagged behind my class because something just felt off about the place in my vision. It was almost as if I had color contacts in or colored glasses on because everything had a dark mauve pink shade over it that was just noticeable enough to be annoying. After rubbing my eyes to try to get the tint to go away, it didn't. I realized the class was gone. I wasn't sure which doorway they went through to get out of the movie theater. One to the right and one to the left, so I guessingly chose the left. Once I walked through, I realized I probably was in the apartment complex and should go back. But part of me was curious and just decided to snoop around a little. After walking a little, but farther out of the slim hallway with apartment doors on either side that I had just stepped into, I came across an indoor mini courtyard where I could hear chimes, see strange, seemingly alive sculptures of sea glass-looking shapes on pedestals in the center of the room, and see strangely silent people that walked quickly in and out of doors past me. I walked a pace similar to everyone else's, towards the sculptures as I was encapsulated by them. Just when I was about to reach out and touch one, someone grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me into the closest empty apartment room. I tried to stop them and call out for help, but they covered my mouth and spoke over me. They told me that they were a traveler too. They had been astral projecting and exploring, but they got too far from their body and couldn't feel it anymore. They told me they didn't know how to get back.
No.
Had been wandering in that apartment complex for years. At this point, I asked why they didn't ask any of the other people outside for directions and why they stopped me from going to the sculptures. They said because the other people outside were spirits of the dead who died without realizing and were residents of the apartment complex who used the doors to travel back in time to relive moments of their life from their memories. They also said that the sculptures that seemed alive felt like that because they were alive and were guardians of the doors. They said that there was another traveler like me that tried to touch the sculptures who got paralyzed and sent back to their body, never allowed to travel back to the apartment complex again. They stopped me because they knew I might be able to help them get back to their body, as the last time they tried to touch the sculptures, they passed straight through them. Overwhelmed by all this information, I realized for the first time that this wasn't a lucid dream. I couldn't control anything there. Terrified of becoming like the traveler, I flung the door open and bolted straight towards the sculptures. I looked back at them, feeling guilty, but knowing that they had to already be dead to be passing through the sculptures like they said they were. Then I woke up in my bed. 1 minute before my alarm for the next morning went off. Just like the traveler said, I never have been able to go back to the apartment complex. There's more, but I wanted to talk about that first.
That's really scary. Oh my goodness.
For them to be like, oh, they're all dead. They don't know it yet. And they were too. This traveler.
Oh, that is kind of sad.
It's very scary to me.
Really scary. Really, really scary. This is not part of the scary part, but when people spend all night astral projecting, do they wake up feeling like they slept?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because your body is technically at rest. Do you feel recharged physically or
but your
mentally
brain's
at
not
all?
resting?
Yeah.
Or maybe your brain is separated from your soul in a way like that. I don't know. Comment. I mean, we have several people writing in that they astral projected. So when you astral project, if you're able to astral project all night like this, do you feel rested at the end of your night?
Who's in this, Max?
This was Max, yeah.
Max, if you're here, if you're still here a year later, please answer that question. I get scared talking about things like this because I'm so afraid. I just feel like I could do this if I tried.
I think we all have the ability to. It just takes meditation and practice.
Yeah, it's just really scary to me because I have weird sleep things.
Yeah.
And I could see myself being like, let me just try it and floating off,
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm scared.
I don't think I'd float off into oblivion or anything like that, but I'm afraid what could be, if there are any lower beings around,
Yeah. Or what if you find out that some creepy person that you used to know in your life found out how to astral project and they are coming into your room at night just to watch you all the time.
Edward Cullinan in?
Yeah,
just standing in the room at night watching me.
Always watching.
I hate that, Natalie. Why would you say that?
I don't know. I'm sorry. That's kind of scary. That just made my hands sweat. Whew. Imagine.
Okay, Roz.
Imagine you're waking up or not waking up. You're coming up and you're like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm astral projecting. And then you see that guy you went to high school with. And you're like, oh God, what are you doing here?
That would be horrifying. Another one of my memorable accidental astral projections was a little over a year later when I had developed insomnia. I was lucid dreaming a lot then too, but this time was also different. I fell asleep again doing homework late at night, but this night I decided to do my homework on the floor instead of at my desk to try and stay awake.
Me. And it never works.
It never works. Obviously that didn't work, and my mind drifted yet again. I found myself staring out the window of a school bus with what seemed like my volleyball team. Trigger warning, this one does get violent. While I was in volleyball, I only recognized one person on that whole bus, one of my friends from real life who I was sitting next to. She was talking to someone in front of us about how excited they were for the game. I was confused because I knew her, but no one else. So I thought it had to be real life and thought I was going crazy or something. While trying to act normal, I joined in my friend and unknown teammates' conversation about looking forward to the game. All I could think about, though, was how confused I was and why everything looked like it had a strange green tint over it. Just like the red tint, I tried rubbing my eyes to make it go away, but it wouldn't. I tried to distract everyone from any weird behavior of mine by pointing out the small river we saw off the side of the freeway. One of the other teammates pointed out that we had to be close to the school because the river ran right next to it. After realizing we were close to the end of the bus ride, I did my best to play it cool until we got to the other school for the volleyball game. Once we got to the other school, everyone was starting to warm up when my friend realized she left her court shoes on the bus. It was a rainy day and we had already taken off our warm-ups. She asked me to come with her to get her shoes, so we had to run through the rain to the bus. We grabbed her shoes and went to run back when she stopped in her tracks. I was confused and looked up where she was looking. There was a tornado headed straight for us. It started hurling cars across the parking lot, and I grabbed her and...
My God.
Oh, a strong tornado? I was like, yeah, parking lot.
No, the tornado.
And I grabbed her and started pulling her behind me as I ran. Yeah, sorry. I was like, yes.
The
what else would be in a parking lot?
What stop sign? You seen that video?
No.
Okay, never mind. Please continue.
She was frozen, which seemed so strange to me because this friend wasn't a freezer, but rather a screamer. It was strange she didn't scream, but I had to focus on getting us back inside. We had almost made it, but right before we reached the gym door, we both started floating. The tornado had moved too fast and was now pulling us towards it and the river where it was headed. We clung tightly to each other's hands, but were flung into the river. We were trying to stay afloat, but she got pulled under. In my panic, I started calling her name and trying to feel around underneath me with my legs.
Oh my God.
Suddenly, I felt something grab me from underneath. At first, I thought it was her, but it felt slimier and not so hand-like. I got pulled under too, and in my thrashing, the last thing I saw before blacking out was a dark, misty-looking creature with a smile and my friend's shoe float past me. In a panic, I woke up gasping for air. I sat bolt upright in my bed with all the lights still on. I was starting to calm down when I began to wonder how I got in my bed when I fell asleep on my floor. I began to look around my room when I saw my body folded, asleep, over my homework that was strewn across the floor beneath me. All of a sudden, I felt myself begin to sweat, and I felt watched. I looked around my room, hesitantly, scanning for something out of place. My eyes stopped and rested over my basket of blankets that was supposed to be near my book nook, but was actually next to my bed. When I made the realization that it was out of place, one of my blankets rose slowly, like the carpet straight out of Aladdin. While I didn't think much of it at first, as I was now aware that I was astral projecting, I shivered with fear as my blanket grew and took on the form of a cobra snake. Quickly, it lurched at me. I felt a strange twinge of pain and then woke up on the floor, a couple of homework assignments sticking to my face. The shock and fear from what I first thought was a dream sat with me as I tried my best to ground myself. I looked over at my blanket basket sitting in its rightful spot at the book nook. The blanket that just attacked me sat drooping, half sprawled out of the basket, as if it didn't have enough time to get back into place. After I finished my homework later that night, I decided to sleep, with what little sleep time I had left, in the living room for the rest of the night and the next few nights. That just gave me a major chill.
That it couldn't get back in time? Yeah.
That it was actually moving.
Yeah, that's really scary.
They actually saw this.
Like it's crossing over from the astral to like this realm type.
Like it's all really happening, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After this astral projection, I started to dabble in witchcraft and grew my understanding of other spiritual practices and theories. After doing so, I used what I learned to start to put protections on myself in my room. I also learned that you can check to see if you're astral projecting in a few different ways. Some people, like y'all mentioned in the pod, can feel the difference in the matter when astral projecting. I realized that my accidental projections were into other universes. Because of this, I realized I could check if I was lucid dreaming by 1, looking in a mirror. I look like a younger version of myself in lucid dreams and never have my glasses on, but I never look like that in astral projections in other universes. 2, check the time. Each different universe has a different frequency. Because of this, anytime I check a clock, each universe's frequency will show on the clock as one specific time, and all clocks show the same time at all times. 3, try to control what's happening, like in a lucid dream. It never works in astral projection. 4, try to tell people in the other universe who I really am. Unironically, get either chased by some guardians of the astral realm, get teleported into a lower frequency astral realm, or both. Or 5, try to make an astral something. Sword is good, but draws attention, so I like to make astral compasses that lead me back to my body. Astral jewelry that mimic my real-life charmed jewelry. Or astral pen that writes in my astral aura. That's so interesting. I've heard of people making weapons in the astral. Maybe we even talked about it in the episode. I don't remember.
We might have.
If you come across like a lower frequency being, or if you are somehow down there with them.
Wow, that's actually really scary.
Yeah, it is. The next couple projections I want to discuss both occurred about a year and a half after the tornado one. There are others I had, but they weren't as significant. Both started out with me unintentionally drifting off to sleep while trying to stay awake for something late at night. My consciousness stayed awake while my body rested. In one, I ended up on an endless freeway, and in the other, I ended up in an endless parking lot. Both were bizarre and seemed to be places I'd never been before. The endless freeway had a bluish tint to it and was the first time that I felt lighter, and the matter overall felt different while I was there. The endless parking lot was the second time the matter felt different, and it had a red-brownish tint to it, and everything felt heavier, like things were dragging. On the freeway, I was driving with my mom. This was before I had my driver's license in real life, so it felt strange to me, but I still knew what I was doing somehow. We talked about life and philosophies and celebrity drama, but it was when we started talking about ourselves that I realized something was different about this version of my mom. She was more independent and open. It was when she asked me about how my dad was doing that I realized in this universe, her and my father were divorced. In that moment, I got kind of defensive. My mom and dad in real life had been married for almost 30 years now, so it was hard to imagine them apart. While I was making something up about how my dad was doing, I noticed in my rearview mirror that there was a car that was swerving around the traffic behind me, trying to catch up to us. The car was a dark matte red, low like a street racing sports car, and had a black particle-like mist fuzz around it that made it hard to make out clearly. I felt dread bubbling up in my stomach after staring at the car for a moment and made a split decision to take the next exit from the car. My mum was confused as to why I took the wrong exit, but I just assured her that it was a shortcut. The car took the same exit too, and was now only 2 cars back from us. In my lack of driving knowledge panic, I pulled myself out of that universe and ended up in a strange in-between astral plane in what seemed like halfway in the middle of the ocean. I could breathe and was floating about freely. I calmed myself down and began to float towards the top. I then felt a jolt to my left. Startled, I looked down at my pinky, which tingled with pain, to see a red string tied to it that was guiding my body in the direction I was tugged. Soon I was floating through walls and trees and cars and people. Eventually I was pulled all the way back to my body, which lay asleep where I left it, with the other end of the red string going into my chest, where I believed it was attached to my heart. Then I woke up. That was the first time I was able to pull myself back into the astral realm from a different universe. The other projection in the endless parking lot didn't end so nicely. And they said trigger warning again for some more violence. Before we move on, I find the red string thing interesting because if you're over on Patreon, you know for this month's episode we did the red string theory or the red string of fate.
Uh-huh.
And I found that interesting that it connected them back to their own body.
To their heart.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. I was thinking the exact same thing.
And I wonder if there are other instances or experiences like this where the string is there, but it's leading them back to themselves. And maybe there's another end to the string somewhere that leads to your, family, your friends, your loved ones.
Huh.
Like all other universes, the endless parking lot's tint of red-brown wouldn't go away no matter how hard I rubbed my eyes. It started with my older brother driving the same car I was driving in the other universe, up a level in a parking lot, while looking for a spot. The lot was full, but full of only 3 types of cars that were either black, red, or white. He kept driving upwards and all the spots were full. We looped and looped, going higher and higher up the lot for a solid 20 minutes with all spots being full of all the same cars. We were blasting music and chatting about what TV shows we were watching when I began to grow anxious, as if we were being watched. He noticed I got quiet and whispered to get out of the car and run after he turned the corner for the 12th time. I looked at him scared and confused, and all he said was, "I know you're too low down to be safe at this frequency with me." I tried to ask him what he was talking about through my distress, but he said that other higher versions of me had passed through this universe before. He knew I wasn't his little sibling. So he rounded the corner, and I jumped out of the car and booked it back down the parking lot structure. I glanced back only once to see a tall, misty dark shadow of a man in a hat chasing me down the parking lot, with the only part of his face I could see being a white, toothy, menacing smile. I stumbled out of my fear and looked back in front of me to blinding headlights and a blaring horn of a large car coming up the lot. After that familiar twinge of pain of what seemed to be death, I felt myself falling out of that world. I sat up where I had fallen asleep in the dark. I looked toward the small light from the Wii that shone under the TV to the left of me, even while turned off, trying to make sure that I was back in my body. When I couldn't see the light in the darkness, I leaned side to side to see if maybe it was my perspective. When I couldn't see it, dread filled me as I realized something had to be blocking it. Slowly, I looked upward, above the wee light, up the TV, and then just above it, nearing the ceiling, hoping I wouldn't see what I thought I would. But to my horror, in the darkness, there shone the menacing, toothy smile of the creature that was chasing me in the parking lot. I scrambled off the couch, ran into the kitchen, and pulled the back door open. Outside was my mom, dad, brother, cousins, aunts, and uncles all hanging out with the backyard all lit up, music playing in the background, and the baseball World Series on the TV. This is when my dad walks over to me, asks me if I was okay, and tells me that our family moved the viewing part of the backyard when my cousins noticed I was asleep. In that moment, I realized I had fallen into another frequency and was thus still astral projecting.
Oh my
I told my dad
gosh.
that everything was fine and was just wondering where everyone went. He then pulled me into a hug, and I took my chance to call conscious back to my body. I woke up where I actually fell asleep, checked to make sure I was actually back by looking in a mirror and making sure my body followed, and made sure to start setting alarms if I was ever drowsy while trying to stay up for something. Since these two accidental astral projections, I have rearranged my room and have stopped accidentally astral projecting as frequently or intensely. I looked up why that is and found that there could be many reasons, but the one I believe it is to be is that I moved my bed away from being in front of my bedroom mirror and constantly cleanse my room before I sleep. At first, I didn't really understand what my mirror had to do with anything, but then I realized it could be used as a portal for other entities to travel through and is a common tool in scrying, which is something to look into another day. Lastly, my most recent clearest astral projection was just a month ago, and this one was purposeful. Recently, I have been meditating more often in order to help with my stress and anxiety. While discussing how it has been helping me a lot to one of my friends, she brought up how I used to astral project a lot and was wondering if I had looked back into it recently. I told her I hadn't, but that maybe I would. She also dabbles in witchcraft and has been diving into Reiki cleansing to help stop her sleep paralysis. We're both curious in each other's practices, so I asked her if she could do Reiki on me if I helped her astral project safely. She agreed, so we planned to meet at her house over the weekend about a month ago to do both. I told her that I wanted to start with Reiki just because cleansing before setting protections makes sure that the protections work properly. So she did Reiki on me first, then herself. Afterwards, I taught her the basics of my meditation practice, what to expect while astral projecting, and then how to ground yourself. She listened intently, but I could tell that she was slightly skeptical of it working. Because of her skepticism, I told her that I would go first, and that while I was out of my body, she would choose something to hide in the room, and I would guess what it was after grounding myself while blindfolded. She laughed, but still agreed. This astral projection was by far the most clear, which I attribute to the Reiki helping my soul be released from stress. So, like usual, I went through my meditation process with the intent of keeping my conscious awake while body rested. This time I felt my conscious slowly lift out of my body as if I was rising out of water. It felt light and flowed as if I was always supposed to do it this way. I could feel my sleeves on my arms, hair on my forehead, my back on the soft rug beneath me, just in the way I felt hyper aware of my body the first time. I heard my friend stand. I could see the room from that spectator position I hadn't been in for so long, but this time I could move more like I wasn't just glued to the ceiling. I also looked at her grandfather clock she had in her house for years and noticed the hands were ticking normally. After verifying the time, I floated down to look at my friend while hovering over my body. She then turned quietly and walked out of the room, closing the door behind her. I saw through the walls and floated through the closed door with ease. I caught back up with her and was hearing her whisper her disbelief as she picked up a purple porcelain bowl I had never seen before and turned to bring it back into the room. As she turned, she passed through me and paused. I giggled as it tickled a little. She turned back to look at me with a confused look, almost as if she felt it too, or heard my laugh, or knew I was standing right there. I decided to walk back next to her at that point so she wouldn't take too long placing the bowl. She opened the door back to the room I was in, shifted past my lying body, and placed the bowl behind the sofa across the room. She then walked back to me, laid a black bandana that served as my blindfold to the right of me, and said she was ready for me to wake up and tell her what she did. It took me a second to reconnect back into my body, but once I did, I immediately reached for the blindfold before sitting up. I heard her say, "No," quietly, but then justify my action with the idea that I had just felt the ground shift near me and guessed where the blindfold was. Once she helped me tie it on all the way and made me guess how many fingers she was holding up 3 different times. I was wrong every time. She let me point to where I thought the bowl was, then asked me what object it was, and I told her a bowl. She said through a laugh that I got lucky. While still sitting on the floor blindfolded, I laughed too at the absurdity. Then I asked her why she had gotten new baking bowls and why she chose purple since all her other dishes are black or red other than the silverware. She stopped laughing and took the blindfold off me. She looked dumbfounded. I couldn't help but laugh and told her that now she would get to try. I tried astral projecting a week ago with her again, and it was less clear than the time before, but it was still fun and freeing. We played what we're now calling astral hide and seek again.
Oh my gosh.
She hid a deck of playing cards, which I guessed their location right, but I thought they were a stack of sticky notes since I couldn't move around as much as and could only see them from afar. She was also able to guess what crystal I had in my hand from a bag of new crystals I brought that I hadn't shown her yet, which absolutely blew me away. From that experience, I learned that I definitely need to practice astral projecting more if I want to be able to consistently do it with clarity, and that it is significantly more unbelievable when someone else is able to astral project and see things clearly than when I do it myself. I have yet to try to astral project to find passed on loved ones or discover what the other planes are truly like, but I've still had too many experiences to count since the first time I tried it, purposefully or not. I think it's super cool that y'all decided to look into astral projecting, and I'm happy to share my experiences with y'all. I hope y'all found my experiences interesting and entertaining, and please feel free to use any of my experiences. I have some other spooky encounters in some other areas, so let me know if y'all want any more stories. Anyways, I hope y'all are well and want y'all to know how much I appreciate the pod. Love y'all and keep slaying. Max. They, them.
I forgot we were still on one person.
I know, so many experiences. So many.
That's actually really cool. People that just can casually project around.
If my friend was like, "Witch, why did you get new baking bowls?" I would be flabbergasted by it.
Like I said, witch, I would turn into that girl that does that on TikTok.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's, when we hear positive little silly things like that, I'm like, ooh, maybe I want to try. But then I'm thinking back to the one where, was it still Max where they grabbed their hand and pulled them in the closet?
Yes. The closet, the toothy grinned dark shadow figure.
Yeah, so it ranges from absolute nightmare horror to hee, let's play a game. And I'm not willing to take that risk, but that does sound very fun.
It's stories like theirs that make me feel like dreams are connected to the astral realm. Some of them. I think we've said this like 3 or 4 times now. Please, some of them. Some dreams are just dreams. Some dreams are just weird mind things. But things like what Max experienced, the mall world-esque place.
Just insane. Wow.
The way that their brother knew
that it wasn't actually Max.
Yeah, like, you're not my younger sibling.
Yeah. Ooh, that kind of gave me like a little chill.
And your frequency is too low for this.
But also kind of made me feel like, oh, like the brother's looking out in every realm,
Yeah, brother knows.
He was like, hey, get out of here.
Yeah.
It was kind of cute. But then really scary. It
really
turned scary.
I thought
it was just going to be like, and then I got away. Ha ha ha. No, I had to get away from something.
From that.
Ooh.
Those were insane stories.
Very cool, though.
Thank you, Max, for sharing all of that with us. And of course, we want to hear more of your stories. Of course. But we will move on. We've got a couple more. This one is from Nick. Hello, y'all. My name is Nick, and I've just recently watched y'all's newest videos and heard you're interested in astral projection stories. I've got one for you. I'm a horror fan and occasionally write scary stories on Reddit, of which are usually made up, super neat in format, flavorful in word choice, and there's some truth in a few. But I just love writing creative horror at the end of the day. This story I'm about to tell you is fully true and the most insane experience I've ever had while astral projecting. I've tried projecting a handful of times in the past and have gotten through due to rope and swing method, and there's a lot of cool things that can happen, flying, teleporting, etc. The first time I was at a friend's house during a projection, and I literally floated up through the basement, first floor, second, and third through their roof. I hovered over the house for what felt like hours, just looking over the tops of the trees and down to the distant city lights. It was super vivid and peaceful.
See, okay, real quick before, because that just reminded me of what I always think of. every single time we talk about astral projection, I think of that American Dad episode. You still haven't seen it.
I've not seen all of American Dad. I've seen most of Family Guy, but not American Dad. I think of SpongeBob when he goes, when he's like dreaming and like traveling to other people's dreams.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
That one's fun. But there is a whole American Dad episode where Steve is astral projecting and floating above everything. You need to watch it, please.
Which one's Steve? Is that the son or
the son?
Okay, yeah. I don't watch American Dad as much as I do like Family Guy. Sorry.
It's a good show. Roger's my favorite.
I know who Roger is, and yes, Roger and Klaus.
Roger is everyone. I'm Roger. You're Roger.
He,
she, we, they. Wumbo, Roger. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Moving on.
Sorry. Forgot we're on the main feed. We're not on Loose Leaves. The mask slipped for a moment.
Join our Patreon to have a long philosophical discussion about Roger.
And Wumbo.
Wombology. Anyway, while there's cool things you can do, there's also horrifying things that can happen to you in your astral state. I learned that on my second time projecting.
Lock in.
Before I went to bed, I remember coming home from a party and was super tired. Usually, you have to set an intention to project and actually put work into getting in an astral state. I did none of that. I wasn't even thinking about astral projecting and passed out within minutes of laying down. It's kind of like Max's experiences where they were just overly exhausted and accidentally ended up into this.
From the way everyone's describing it, I'm surprised I haven't done it.
I know.
Because that's literally me.
I know. I think your body just gives up. I think your body and mind are saying, never.
Truly. Yeah.
My lights and TV were off when I laid down initially, so when I awoke, or thought I was awake, it was odd to me that both my lamp and TV were on. There was no channel or movie playing, just a blue screen. I scooted down to the foot of my bed, looking for the controller to turn the TV off, and with my legs bent at the end of the bed, feet on the carpet, I looked back to see if the remote was in my bed somewhere. Instead of seeing a remote, I literally saw myself sleeping. And I wasn't scared at first. I was more in a giddy, excited mood, thinking, no way, I'm projecting again? But that feeling quickly changed as I turned back around. While sitting, facing forward, I saw an old white lady standing in the corner of my room right next to my closed bedroom door, as if she was blocking me from an easy exit.
Oh no.
In fact, this woman is my inspiration for a story I wrote recently. She was dressed in a navy blue dress suit, a shin-high skirt, dark stockings, and black shoes. Her hair was brown and nicely kept, but the scariest part about her were her eyes. Like every horror movie about demons, her eyes were black.
I knew it.
She was standing straight up with her arms by her side, just staring at me, smiling, like she was happy that I finally met her gaze. I started to hover over my body, not by choice, how I first scooted to the edge of the bed. It's like she was controlling my astral body. It was merely a couple of seconds as she lifted me telepathically towards her. She pulled me over to her until we were face to face, and personally, I believe it was the devil's advocate, because she spoke to me. And verbatim, she said, "I have a deal for you, Nicholas." I just looked at her and was thinking in my head, no. She picked up on that thought and immediately changed her smile to the angriest look I have ever seen in my life, and it was so scary. I just closed my eyes and did the only thing I knew that would help me. I prayed, and truly, God was enough to save me. I woke up and was in my bed again. The TV and lamp were on, so it was definitely real. And as I looked in the corner towards the door, I saw a black cloud dissipate into nothing, almost misty looking. You'd think it would have ended there, and I wish it did, but to this day, I'm still trying to wrap my head around why this happened and what it even was. I had to go to school the next day, and when I arrived, I went straight to my best friend and said something along the lines of, "I had a crazy thing happen to me last night. You won't even believe it." She said she had a dream about me. So, like the gentleman I am, I let her talk first. And when she opened her mouth, her eyes watered a little bit because she started to explain my whole astral projection back to me, step by step.
What?
But her point of view was from outside my window. She saw me get lifted and pulled to the corner of my room, and she heard that lady say those words to me. The only thing is she couldn't see her, and that's where our experience is differentiated. Now, I haven't had another astral projection since. A few tips I would give, and maybe the most important, do not look at your sleeping body. For some reason, I feel like that triggered the lady or demon to appear. And if you come across a situation like that when you're projecting, if you believe in God or not, pray. Why my friend had a dream about me astral projecting is what baffles me. Like, why was her dream tied to my astral projection? I can't call mine a dream because the feelings were so similar to the first time I projected. I don't know, man. I still live in the same house and nothing like that has ever happened again, and I'm not complaining about that at all. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and seriously, if you're practicing astral projection, don't be scared because nothing can physically hurt you. You just don't say yes to a deal, to anyone, or anything. Even if you're curious, because I can't lie, to this day, I wonder what the deal was. But I felt like she was going to take my body.
Well, yes. Surely it wasn't going to be something beneficial to you.
Surely you would get not a lot of good out of it.
It wasn't a fiddle of gold, for sure. But anyways, this is why we stopped doing night recordings.
I know. I was about to Devil Went Down to Georgia.
As soon as you said a deal, I said, it's like sleeper agent.
I said, my
up.
name's Johnny.
I almost said Johnny. Whenever she said Nicholas, I was like, anyways, my God. Okay. One, I take back anything I ever said about ooh, maybe
you keep doing this.
Okay. Final answer, no. Because that lady could control your little particle self. It's too much.
Yeah, that's really scary.
I didn't think that you could lose control of it.
So usually what I picture in these the astral realm, these lower beings, I don't picture them as very strong. Yes, strong in the sense that they are in their own realm, where they belong, but not overpowering you strong. Knowing that things like that could appear.
Yeah. Ooh, and that's the second story where when they woke up, there was still a remnant of it.
Yeah,
so the blanket thing and then now this one was she was a misty thing.
Mm-hmm. That's actually really scary to me.
It's starting to feel like it's the things have too much access to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to venture out and be like, hey, follow me. This is the way back to my realm and my bedroom. I don't like it at all.
You don't want the veil to be thinned.
No, not at all. Gosh.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little freaked out right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to remain
a little bit of a chill.
That's why I'm trying to remain silly, because I am getting scared because it's about to be bedtime. Oh, well, as soon as you leave, it is bedtime.
Intermission for The Devil Went Down to Georgia. What's the song called?
I think it's called that.
Okay. Anyway, continue. We're on to our next person. Our next story is from Sophia. Hi, Macy and Natalie. I just watched the astral projection episode, and it reminded me of my experience with astral projection. I hope you enjoy. When this happened, it was completely unintentional. I'm an extremely anxious person, and I've always been too scared to try astral projection. This was a few years ago, and I was at my lash appointment. As I'm sure Natalie is aware, lash fills can take up to 2 hours, and it's difficult to sit there awake with your eyes open for 2 hours. I sometimes get in my head and get anxious, just knowing I can't open my eyes.
2 hours?
I don't know.
Oh, girl, I'm in and out 40 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Dang.
I wouldn't have the patience.
Even for new?
For new?
Maybe
an
longer.
hour.
Really?
But my girl's been doing lashes for a very long time.
I sometimes get in my head and get anxious, just knowing I can't open my eyes. And I get the impulse to open my eyes, making me more anxious and tense. I was feeling this anxiety at my lash appointment, so I was trying to calm myself down. I remember trying to step outside of my mind or disconnect my mind in order to calm my brain. I eventually did calm down and slowly fell asleep. What I remember next was viciously shaking and suddenly appearing in a bathroom, not my own, and the room was also shaking. The shaking stopped, and I leaned into the mirror to look at myself. My appearance was fuzzy, like in a dream, but I could make out my features. This was odd, as I've never looked at my own reflection in a dream. I looked around my room and was very confused, as I knew I was just sleeping, but I did not feel like I was in a dream, and I was confused by how I got into this bathroom in the first place. I felt like I was truly present in this bathroom, but my body felt fuzzy and very heavy. The room suddenly began shaking again, and I fell through the floor. I was suddenly floating above my sleeping body, slowly descending back. As I came back into my body, I remember feeling myself fold into a V shape, It felt so real. I even remember being worried that my lash tech probably thought I was being possessed.
I was gonna say, if you did it in real life,
Yeah.
it's so scary.
I could feel myself come back into my body, and I stopped feeling that fuzzy feeling. Once I was back, I felt myself slowly ascending back up. The setup for a lash appointment involves an LED light hanging over your head. And as I ascended up, I felt my head hit the LED light, and it caused me to quickly fall back down into my body, and I felt myself twitch as I came back to. The transition from sleeping to consciousness was also unusual, as I didn't feel like I woke up, but rather I was conscious the whole time, and I just felt myself becoming more present. This whole experience felt completely different from a dream. It felt so real that even when I was awake, I believed that I really did fold up like a V like that. It took me months to realize that I had astral projected. The thought didn't cross my mind until I realized if I had truly folded like that, my lash tech would have asked me if I was okay. I think that me trying to step outside my mind to calm myself down might have been the reason that I astral projected. They literally stepped outside their mind.
Whoa.
Maybe removing myself from my mind allowed my soul or consciousness to briefly leave my body and travel. I'm not too sure, but I know I'll never try that trick again. I'll never forget the fuzzy feeling and how real it felt when I was leaving and coming back into my body. Although I'm glad I had the experience, as I can brag to my family members who have been trying to astral project that I did it effortlessly. Anyways, I hope this makes it on the pod, and I hope you enjoyed. Happy spooky season. Love, Sophia. P.S. Hi from Canada.
Ah, Canada. Hello.
Our Canadian brethren.
The land of Justin Bieber. Sorry. I know. Anyways, do you think that their body actually moved and the lash tech just didn't want to say anything? Or do you think it was just a feeling?
No, I think it was just a feeling.
That is crazy. Because like feeling your head hit the light. It's crazy. Because I mean, yeah, like if you're getting your lashes done, you can't sit up because you're going to like smack straight into the light.
Yes. I think their lash tech would have said something like, hey, are you okay? Or what are you doing? If they're like over there working.
Oh, yeah.
You know
And
what I
if
mean?
you twitch, you're going to get like stabbed in the eye. So I guess that makes sense. Whoa. Really scary. This is why I talk a lot in my lash appointments, because I didn't like falling asleep.
Yeah.
Because there had been times at the beginning when we didn't really know each other and didn't know what to say or talk about. It would just be like, how are you? Oh, good. How are you? And then the conversation would die. So I would accidentally fall asleep all the time, but I would feel myself like twitch because I'm trying not to sleep. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I got to stop.
It's
And
like
so
jerks.
yeah, we got to keep talking because I would, I never thought you could about like astral projecting in random situations like that.
Yeah.
Imagine like getting a massage. I've never had one. I would love one. But imagine getting like one of those ones where you're like fully on the table. And
Yeah.
I wonder if you could still feel the massage.
I think you still reap the benefits of it because your
Well, yeah,
body's
when you
still
wake
there.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. Well, okay, who was it? Maybe it was Max, or was it the first story that we had where they said they could still feel the where they were laying down in the sleeves. Maybe it was Max. I don't remember. I'm like kind of freaked out right now.
Yeah.
But the glasses slipping down.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you
don't know.
can.
I bet it varies. Because this person felt like a physical sensation of running into something, and clearly they didn't. Because if you shot up and hit the light, at that point your text's gonna be like, "Hey, sweetie, are you okay?" much to think about.
Much to remember when you're getting your lashes done
Stop!
next.
I know that's on Saturday.
Well, don't astral project. We have one more story. It's from Liyah. It's actually a partial story. So there you had this long email, and I took the astral projection. Maybe.
Nice. So we'll come back to Liyah eventually.
Yes. So
Okay,
we will
cool.
get back to you, Liyah. They titled this one "F This Thing." Astral projection, sleep paralysis, maybe a diva,
Maybe a diva. You know,
it's too late into the evening, to the night.
I have nothing to say to you.
Okay. I'm not as scared anymore.
Again,
I just picture like
lock in
a diva.
It's that picture of Patrick with lashes and lip
fishnet
filler, like
tights. Oh, I was thinking of like SpongeBob SquarePants movie,
like Goofy Goober
Yeah.
song. No, I'm thinking of this one. I'll put it on screen.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways, demon or diva? Let's
Demon
hear
or
it.
diva. Trigger warning: gore.
Oh,
So, moving on.
what a weird day.
What a weird time.
Feels like the old days, the good old days.
I will start off by apologizing. I am truly sorry for this horrendous story I'm about to share with you. Let's dive in. My
Oh.
grandparents bought a house that previously belonged to an elderly couple who had either passed away or were placed in assisted living. When they were clearing out the furniture and belongings left behind, they would give us grandkids first pick. I chose a lovely antique chair that, no joke, still sits in my old room over 10 years later, and a mirror. Not any old mirror, but a larger, full-body, heavy-duty mirror. It was the size of a short door and just as wide. The thing was massive and in great condition, so of course I took it. Mistake 1. It's a mirror. Mistake 2. It was hidden away in the house's attic. Like,
Oh no.
come on, younger me. Of course something bad will come of that. Mistake 3. I placed it across from my bed.
Okay.
Let this story be a warning to never place a mirror facing your bed. Please. My dad and grandpa carried this heavy mirror into my room and placed it inside my closet. At the time, I was really into rearranging my room. Every week it was different. So for the first week, nothing happened. But by Friday, I began to move my furniture. Settling on my bed, being in the corner across from my closet. The closet did not have a door or curtain, so I couldn't close it off. That very night, everything started. I went to sleep like always, only to wake up standing beside my bed. But something seemed strange. My room was dark, but brightened with a faint blue hue over everything, including myself. My hands seemed to lag like it had an after shadow as I waved them in front of me. That's when I noticed. I was still sleeping in my bed. I watched as my body breathed, chest rising and falling. It felt peaceful, like time was slower, till it came. From my closet, a fog of darkness flooded out, cascading over itself, filling the area around my bed. Curious, I peered deeper into the closet. It was the only place the blue hue didn't illuminate. As I stared at the void and smoke that's flooding in, a hand, white as paper, with thin, long fingers that looked like they had too many joints, grabbed at the top of the doorway.
Ew.
Almost like it needed to pull itself from the inky darkness. Slowly it emerged from the shadows, a white humanoid creature. Its paper white skin clung to its bones, seeing every rise and hollow of its spine. Its arms and legs bent back like a spider as it crawled across the ceiling. It had no gender, nor face. I watched as it stopped right above my sleeping self, and with arms too long, it grabbed my ankle and hoisted my limp, lifeless body into the air. I watched as it held me hostage, extended in the air. I tried to yell out, tried to hit it, but my hand passed through its cold body. I watched it climb down the wall, seeing that its head was upside down. What seemed to be a jawbone sat where our foreheads are, and its forehead where our jaws are. It was all wrong, but I soon discovered why. It crouched on its hind legs as it brought my lifeless body over itself and opened its entire jawline. Its mouth opened wide, revealing extra tattered skin like that of a snake. I watched in horror as this thing put my head between its jaws and bit down. This is when most people would wake up, right? No, it wasn't done with me yet. I watched on as my head moved down its gauntlet and rested in its now protruding belly. My blood poured from my headless corpse, drenching the floor and bed. It wore my blood like a red bib down its chest and stomach, and I still didn't wake up. Limb by limb, I stood frozen, and it tore me apart and devoured my body. It only had my leg left when it stopped mid-bite. Though it didn't have eyes, it felt as if it looked right at me. And finally, I woke up, gasping and sweating. I didn't sleep the rest of the night, writing it off as a nightmare. Every night, for 7 days, I watched as this thing would appear in my room and kill me in horrible ways. The second night, it grabbed me by my ankles and pulled them apart. I stood frozen, listening as my bones popped and cracked, watched, and my skin tore like fabric.
Oh my God.
When it was done, it threw my mangled remains crumpling to the floor and faced my spirit, like it was taunting me. I woke up again. I had only been asleep for 2 hours. This continued. I only slept for a few hours each night. My family, friends, and teachers all took notice. Some even tried to get me to take a nap through their class, but I couldn't. I was too scared to sleep. On the 5th day, it appeared looming over my body. With its long fingers, it plunged it into my chest. A grotesque squishing sound came from its hand as it crunched past bone and felt around till it found my heart. Pulling it from my chest cavity, it beat once more before becoming still. At this point, I have come to realize that it had been toying with me. No longer did it feast upon my flesh. The fear that it received as I looked on as its mutilations were enough to stifle its hunger. I would feel helpless in my awake life and be terrorized in my sleep state. During that time, I was in a really dark place. At some point, I began to move my astral form little by little. Finally, I could run, but like a cat waiting for its mouse to move, the creature too pounced. It chased me through my family home, crawling on all fours with its twisted limbs, jumping wall to wall. I couldn't move fast enough. Just as it cornered me, I would wake up. I left my room that night around 2 a.m. and I sobbed into my knees in our living room. My dad came out, and for the first time I told him about my night terrors. He didn't take them too seriously, but still told me to try drawing a knight to hang above my head while I slept. Desperate for anything to work, I got to work doing that. I was proud of my knight in armor with a shield and sword drawn, ready to fight. I only hoped it would work the next night. It didn't. No knight in shining armor came to save me as I fled down dark alleys. My astral form had made it all the way to a city nearby me before the beast found me. It jumped from brick building to balcony, and I soon found myself cornered, and just before it reached me, I woke up. At some point, when you're in a constant terror, you simply stop caring. You give up or give in to the terror. I sat in my bed and stared at myself in the mirror closet for a long while, feeling myself drifting into dark thoughts. Then I looked at the night picture I drew and figured one last try. Midnight, I tried to quietly rearrange my room's furniture. I had been and still was too exhausted to put in the effort, but it was one of my last ideas. Afterwards, I looked into the mirror again. I looked myself deep in the eyes and said, "I will be okay," before throwing a white sheet over the mirror to cover it. I've never seen that creature ever since. The mirror stayed in my old room until about 3 years ago when my dad moved it, and at some point it shattered. Sorry again.
Call somebody. What do?
What can you do, though?
What? Call Paw Patrol. Call any. Who do you call?
Paw Patrol.
Call Ghostbusters. Call Mystery Gang. Scooby Doo. What is their name?
I think it's a mystery gang. That sounds right.
Who?
I don't know. I'm scared. The Long Island Medium.
A rabbi. The Long Island Medium. Teresa, please. If you're anywhere. What do do? That was one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard.
Like, it just wanted it so bad to feed off of the fear.
That was really disturbing. That was really, really disturbing. I was envisioning the shape of its head just kind of being like praying mantis-like almost, but longer.
Upside down.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's one of the worst things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
That was sick. I've never even seen anything like that happen in a movie.
Oh, I have. Maybe not the eating, but the tearing apart.
The eating thing, and like you're watching it eat your body.
Yeah.
My gosh. Thank you for that. Who was that?
Liyah.
Thank you, Liyah. I will think about that forever. I can truly say that.
I'm sorry that you endured that. That is horrific, and I'm so glad that you were able to get rid of that monster in the night. That it wasn't able to find you again.
This was a lot scarier of an episode than I
anticipated.
Yes. Yeah. Because I knew we were doing, like our Reddit Monday and then something similar. I knew astral projection was coming because that's all you've been talking about for literally probably like 3 weeks now.
I'm obsessed right now, yeah.
Just on and off the pod, you're just like, but what if astral projection? So I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like I said, more whimsy, more I frolicked or I floated over the city. And
like
it was
more
cool.
Mall World. No.
This was
no, of course not.
deeply unsettling and concerning for everyone involved.
Concerning. Yes, that's a good word. So if you have a story of astral projection, if you've ever been visited by a creature in the night, please let us know. You can email us. It's ghostiespod@gmail.com. It's also written down in the description if you need to see it written out. That
was a lot, Robin.
It was a lot, Robin. But it was very interesting. I'm very intrigued. And we have so many questions that just will never be answered. Though DOPS is doing and is always doing research on out-of-body experiences.
Yeah.
So hopefully someday, somehow, some
What
way.
is it? University of what?
Virginia, I believe. UVA.
Yeah.
Until then, like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so. And subscribe for more. Leave a comment down below. What can be a comment? Like a spider.
Ooh,
for
ew,
the
yeah.
creepy spider
What a
creature.
spider.
Yeah, comment a spider.
If I was watching this the first time, I would give it a dislike. That was disturbing.
Oh my gosh.
just for the horror.
You know what? Don't dislike, but you can comment a
please don't.
thumbs down. We would prefer you like this video, and then you can comment your dissatisfaction in the comments, please.
Yes, please.
If you aren't already, please make sure you're following us on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you prefer. We're also on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. But you do get the video version if you're on YouTube or Spotify podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what else I'm supposed to say here because I am a little frightened. So
follow the socials. That's it.
And we'll see ya.
Goodbye.